Excuse me? How did you make your first $1 million?
I sold $20 million on one day and it freaked me out.
Have you ever been broke before?
Yes, I have.
What age should you make your first $1 million?
By the time I graduated, I had my first million.
You're a billionaire? We are back on Billionaires Row in New York City, asking people how they made their first $1 million. Day 2, let's see what they say. Stay tuned. Excuse me, sir. Can I ask you a question about how you made your first million?
All good, my man.
Keep getting after it. People are busy. They don't want to share the sauce. How did you make your first $1 million?
I was in high school, freshman through junior year. I ended up selling 100K worth of snacks, like Asian snacks. And then by senior year, because I was going to boarding school, I bought Bitcoin mining rigs and I arbitraged the school's electricity. And by the time I graduated, I had my first million. Tried looking through YouTube, trying to learn how to flip properties. Growth was a little slow. So I ended up starting a logistics business based out in San Diego. Ever since then, the rest was history.
What's the most amount of money you've ever made in 1 year?
A lot. COVID was very good.
8 figures?
Yeah.
Over $10 million in 1 year. And how old are you?
26.
Wow. Have you ever been broke before?
Yeah, when COVID hit, the trucking industry took a really hard hit. So for about 6 months, I was essentially going door to door asking people, can I please take some extra work? Didn't work out, so I had to take a pretty big loan and then we ended up pivoting.
So how did you get through that period, like mentally? How did you go from being a really wealthy young teenager to having to go be broke again, asking for work?
I think my motivation was always my girlfriend. We've been together for 9 years this year. So I'm working so we can, I can give her the wedding of her dreams.
Wow, I love that. She's been with you the whole step of the way.
Every single step, yes.
And what's your game plan for the future? 26 years old. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years?
Stepping into data centers now. So hopefully that works out, fingers crossed.
We have a channel where we inspire young entrepreneurs. So if you have a message to the younger generation that wants to be an entrepreneur, that wants to make their first $1 million, what do you say to them?
I'd say everyone will have their own moments. You don't ever have to rush it. I think it's always about making good decisions. Don't ever compare yourself to anybody else. Compare yourself to your own self yesterday and look to make yourself better every day.
I love that. That's awesome. I have one more question for you. What was the biggest thing you learned about yourself from going from 0 to $1 million that quickly at a young age to going back down to rebuilding yourself and becoming successful again?
I guess I learned I was pretty persistent, but I guess I never really focused on the money, actually. I always focused on creating value, and that's actually what drove me. Value and purpose being my significant other.
Thank you so much, man. Nice to meet you. How did you make your first $1 million?
By working very hard. I started up in Belgium, then I had international business, a home improvement business, like Home Depot in United States. But I have not exactly, but I have the same company in Europe. I sold my first hammer, I sold my first nails, and so I started up my business, making up $1 million and more.
So you owned the Home Depot of Europe.
Yes, in Europe.
What was the moment you realized this idea about starting to sell nails and hammers, could be a business? How did you know?
Because I came often over to the United States, and here, like Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever, they started the business up, and there was no such thing in Europe. So that's why I took the idea from here. I exported to Europe, and then I started up.
How old are you when you made your first $1 million?
29 years old.
29 years old.
Yeah.
And did you have a business partner? How many partners did you have?
I have one business partner. Still is my business partner for my life. It's a perfect business partner.
And what's the most amount of money you've ever made in 1 year?
A lot.
8 figures, 9 figures?
More than 9 figures.
More than 9
Make it 10. Make it 10.
You're a billionaire?
Almost.
Almost a billionaire. Did you sell your company or do you still own it?
No. I still own it.
You still own it to this day?
How many people? I think around 50,000.
You employ 50,000 people.
Yeah.
Wow. Have you ever been broke before?
No. Not yet.
You've never been broke?
I've never experienced this experience, in fact.
How did you grow up? How did you start? Were you always an entrepreneur?
Oh, no. I wasn't. My family was not rich, so I started by my own. And I have a wonderful team around me. A lot of very motivated people, and that's the most important thing. That's the takeaway. Please try to hire a lot of motivated people. And then you can make it everywhere.
So what advice do you have to the younger generation that wants to be an entrepreneur, that wants to make a $1 billion business just like you did? What advice would you say to them?
2 advices.
Yeah.
It's all about working very hard.
Yeah.
You don't get it for free. Work very hard and do it in a very intelligent way. Do it in a very smart way. And then you can make it everywhere. Don't worry.
What other businesses are you in right now? Are you an investor in other businesses?
Yes.
What other business moves have you made since started making your money? How have you diversified?
I diversify in high tech, so I invest in high tech business. I'm an investor in real estate, so that's our most important investments. I do have is real estate and high-tech companies.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. What's your name?
Erwin.
I'm Josh. Really nice to
Josh,
meet you.
okay.
Big takeaway that I've seen right now is just the sheer grit that these millionaires and billionaires that we've interviewed so far have overcome to get to their success. So the number one quality all four of these people have in common is grit and determination. Excuse me? How did you make your first $1 million?
Okay, so one of these. I had an advertising agency and then started selling digital products.
What was the advertising agency? Did you start it?
At first, it was a creative agency, and then I got too annoyed with clients asking me what the return on investment was. It was always a nightmare with my clients. So eventually, one day, decided I had enough, and I was like, "We're gonna do hardcore performance marketing," and started doing that back in 2017.
Wow, so you started a performance marketing agency 10 years ago, starting running Facebook ads?
Yeah, we did it, and then very quickly we started specializing on digital products, info products, basically info industry. Yeah, we would be the people behind the scenes running ads.
And then what age should you make your first $1 million?
18.
18 years old. It was from this agency?
Agency and then launched a digital product. And between the two, it was like $500,000 each, and yeah.
What did you do at 18 years old? Like, what did your friends say? Like, what did your family say?
I mean, I feel like back then it was crazy, but I feel like these days it's like 14-year-old, 15-year-olds.
Right.
Like every year it just gets crazier and crazier, and people get younger and younger. And I see it every single day. It's just times are different.
And then what's the most amount of money you've ever made in a single year?
Multiple 8 figures.
Multiple 8 figures in 1 year. And how old are you?
25.
You're 25 years old. You've done multiple 8 figures in 1 year. Selling info products?
Info products, investments. Made a pretty good investment in a company probably quite a few people would have heard of, WALP.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah. I'm sure you're familiar.
Yeah, pretty familiar. And then have you ever been broke before?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, we all start off somewhere. We all start off broke.
Talk me through going from broke to making your first $100,000. How did that feel and how did that change you?
I mean, I would say the first 100,000 is more exhilarating than the first 100 million. Past the first 100,000, I really don't think much changes, and you get very numb to things. So I guess the only thing I wish I had done more of is just like really take in those early moments.
As you've grown from your entrepreneurial journey, what's been the biggest dip so far from going from maybe your first million to now that you've had to overcome?
Probably just a feeling of complacency, because the issue is, I always say you do things out of inspiration or desperation.
Yep.
When the desperation goes away, then you have nothing to do it for anymore. So you have to find a will and a way to wake up every single day and keep working and keep performing. So I had a few years, I was kind of like, it was a constant battle every single day. I would wake up and you're like, you're not at 100% of your potential, but like you're at 70, 80%. And for most people, that's good enough. And honestly, for me, for a few years, it felt like that was good enough. And it was this constant like internal battle and war with myself. Like, how do I motivate myself to keep going? Because everyone has the reason why they start. And most of the time it's out of desperation. They do things out of desperation. But once that desperation fades, it's like, how are you going to keep moving?
Well, what was that motivating factor for you? What kept you motivated?
I would love to give you some like very raw, inspirational thing. I'll be honest. I think just one day I woke up and I was just bored. Like bored of playing at 70%, because I did that for a few years. Obviously, I worked my ass off to get to where I was and making my first million, and many multiple millions a year after that. But one day I just woke up and I was like, listen, clearly I'm not doing this for the money anymore.
Yep.
I'm comfortable enough. Sometimes you just fall back in love with things, and I think like entrepreneurship is the greatest sport on earth. 100%. And everyone plays the sport out of desperation at first, right? Desperation for a better life for them, for their loved ones. And then you get to a point where you start to become comfortable and maybe fall out of love for the game, or maybe you focus more on the things that the game gives you rather than the game itself. And then eventually you remember why you started in the first place and you realize how much you love the game. And at that point, everything just becomes effortless again.
I love that. So we have a channel where we motivate young entrepreneurs. What piece of advice do you have to the kids watching us right now that want to become an entrepreneur, that want to make their first $1 million online? What advice do you have for them?
Probably my first advice is just focus on your first $100, then your first $1,000, then your first $10,000, and just keep going step by step. Like, I'll be honest, I made my first million at 18, but I want to make that very clear. Like, that's not normal in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And sometimes I guess it kind of frustrates me that people, like, I'll have 21-year-olds come up to me and they're like, I'm so far behind. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, first of all, like, everyone's running their own race. So, like, I just don't think it's fair to compare yourself to someone else. Number two, like, improve in life and focus on bettering yourself. But, like, also, like, you're never going to get these years back.
Yep.
Especially the younger generation, all I would say is, like, take inspiration and motivation from some of the people you see online. But, like, really focus on running your own race, and understand it'll take a lot longer than probably you imagine it will. But then when that moment comes, it happens a lot quicker than you could ever imagine. Yeah, man, just take your time and be patient. I know you're going to see all this stuff online, and I know it can be, hopefully it should be motivating to you, but like also don't let it like put you down or make you feel like you're behind, because the sort of people who are watching this sort of content in of itself, like, you're not behind. you're exactly where you should be.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Excuse me. Can we ask you a question about how you made your first million? Saving money. There we go. Can I ask you guys a question about how you made your first $1 million? We have a channel. We inspire young entrepreneurs. Busy, busy, busy. How did you make your first $1 million?
I worked hard. I found a product. People were making acid wash jeans when I was your age. They were selling it for 11. I figured out how to sell it for 10, and I went to Walmart and I sold $20 million on one day, and it freaked me out. That's how I made my money.
Okay, I need to unpeel this. You sold $20 million in one day. At what age?
26.
At 26 years old. What's the most amount of money you've ever made in 1 year?
I've had amazing years where I've made $20, $30 million a year.
And have you ever been broke before?
No, not yet.
But you started just like everybody else. You started at one with an idea, and you got your first opportunity out of the gate.
Yeah, just find a great product, buy it for $1, sell it for $2, and sell a shitload of them.
What advice do you have to younger generations trying to start their first business right now?
You got to keep working hard, and you're going to you got to go through 100 doors until you find the right one. You just got to keep persistence, get up every day and just bang away, and you'll find your passion, you'll find your niche, and it'll happen for you, but you got to be able to deal with rejection and hard work.
And then have you started any other businesses since the jeans?
A lot of businesses.
What's some other businesses that you've started?
I started a big licensing business that became worth $3 billion.
You started a business that became worth $3 billion.
I did.
Are you a billionaire?
No, I fucked it up. I had some legal issues where I got screwed by someone who worked for me, and I ended up losing the business.
Wow. So you ended up losing the business. Wow. How'd you get
started another one?
How'd you get through that period of scaling a business of $3 billion and then losing it because of some legal
It
problems?
was really hard. It was emotionally therapeutic. Studied things like stoicism, dark days, and found out who my real friends were. And I fought through it, and now I'm back with a new exciting business.
What's the biggest thing you learned about yourself getting through that period, and the biggest thing you learned about life to get through that?
Myself is tremendous. I'm a warrior, and a lot of resistance. I always relied on a famous quote from Winston Churchill is when you're going through hell, keep going. Yeah. And just fought through it. So there's ups and downs in life, and got to keep fighting.
I love it. How did you make your first $1 million?
I built a digital concierge company, which I sold to Capital One.
How much did you sell that company for?
$330 million.
You sold the company for $330 million.
Yes.
At what age?
35?
How old are you when you started this company?
26 years old.
26 years old. And how did you come up with the idea for this company?
I was skiing. I wanted to start my own thing, and I just decided this was the right idea. I'd done a bit of research. I'd used similar products in the US, and I thought I could do it better. So,
what was your career before this company?
Distress turnaround. So I used to buy distressed companies and turn them around.
Got it. So you knew how to build a company for exit.
Sort of, yeah. I knew how to fix companies. I wasn't necessarily experienced in building products, particularly digital products, but yeah, I knew a little bit about running a business.
So how did you go from 0 to 1? Finding the team. Do you have a business partner in this?
Yeah.
Was it
someone I went to school with? Yeah.
So you called him up and you pitched him the idea?
Yeah, basically, yeah. I got him to leave his job in banking and come and join me.
Out of going from 0 to 1, how did you know this idea was going to become an actual business?
I mean, I didn't, is the answer. So, it was a lot of hard work, a lot of iterating. We made probably more mistakes than I can count as first-time founders. But in the end, if you work super hard, as long as you're willing to learn and iterate, then you can have a successful outcome.
Yeah, one more question for you. Have you ever been broke before?
I mean, there were several times on that journey where we were almost broke, where me and my co-founder put our last pennies into the company's bank account to make payroll. So on the verge of being broke, but we always seemed to pull it off and get through that.
How did you get through that period mentally? What did that teach you about yourself?
I mean, I try and frame things. My granddad was a prisoner of war in Burma, and I try and frame things like, if I think my life is hard, I think back to him being a prisoner of war, and it helps you kind of realize that actually your problems are nothing. Your life is easy. You need to fucking, man up and get through it.
100%. So you had a perspective change.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
If you have one message to the younger generation, what would you say?
Basically, continuing to learn is more important than anything. And, I'm not that smart. I was never the smartest kid at school, but I've always continued learning. And if you continue learning, eventually you'll get to the top. So keep learning, keep iterating, stay hungry. Yeah, don't rest on your laurels.
Love it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Josh. How did you make your first $1 million?
How did I make my first million? Hard work, getting up every day, every morning, Electrical business.
Electrical business. What did you do in the electrical business?
Sold a lot of supply stuff. Wire, guide wire, transformers, electrical generators, even light bulbs and stuff of that nature.
Did you own this business?
Eventually I did. Got to own a part of the company. Person retired, passed away, and I took over the company and bought it out.
What age were you when you took over the company, you bought it out?
38,
Got it. And what age did you start working at the company?
29.
Wow. So you had almost a decade of experience learning the ins and outs of the business. By the time you took over, you really knew where to attack.
That is correct.
Did you end up selling this business?
I did.
How much did you sell the business for?
Substantially more.
8 figures, 9 figures?
7 figures. Yes.
In the tens of millions?
Yes.
And what was that feeling like when exit money hit your account?
Wasn't as exciting as usual. It was just like a lot of drama, and I think the best thing about the whole thing is the lack of drama and just allowing yourself to do things that you want to do.
The freedom.
Yeah.
2 more questions. Have you ever been broke before?
Yes, I have.
And how did you get through it?
That's a good question. Actually, I came down to it, and there's a line from Gone with the Wind. And I looked up at the sky, I said, I'll never be broke again. And that's actually a line from Gone with the Wind, which is a movie. And from there on, it's just hard work and perseverance, man. Life is a bunch of options. Life is just options. You reach a crossroads and you say, am I comfortable in this position or do I want to reach for something more? And that's what it's about, grab the brass ring.
What age were you when you were broke and going through it?
Young 20s.
In your early 20s. You did not grow up with money.
My parents were of means. I grew up privileged. I must say, I did grow up privileged. It wasn't like the rags to riches story. But the worm changes, bro. The worm changes. So going from privilege to being flat broke, not fun. Not fun at all.
So we have a channel where we inspire young entrepreneurs. What advice do you have for them to get up, start their first business, and be successful?
Get up and do it, man. You can do it. Just get up and do it. One foot after the other. It sounds stupid, sounds simple. That's all you got to do. Put the time in.
We've been out here for 5.5 hours in the rain, stopping people, getting the best interviews for you guys. So keep following along because we're gonna be traveling across the country, interviewing millionaires and billionaires about how they made their money and any advice they have for the younger generation. So like and subscribe and follow along because we're gonna be giving you guys tactical advice that you guys can use to start your first business.